Hello world, I'm Sky. Welcome to my first YouTube video. I've never recorded myself talking before, so this is weird. This is a first for me. I should also say that this is the first time I've ever made a video or used any sort of a video editor, so bear with me on this learning curve. I have a variety of interests. Even in art, I like both traditional and digital arts. I like to draw comics and manga, photorealism, some illustration, designs, watercolor paintings, and so on. I'll be talking about art and a variety of other stories for fun on this channel. I don't know, every art channel talks about art, so I figured I'll just talk about whatever is on my mind or relate stories to you that are funny or relatable in some way. Hopefully you'll find these stories interesting. If not, feel free to mute my voice and just watch the drawing process, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Because I have a wide variety of interests, I can always find a topic of interest I have in common with some others. But I have yet to find a lot of people like me, where they like everything from quantum physics to philosophy to art, and like to research on those subjects. I'll start off by stating what I call a pseudo-fact we all know. People don't generally associate artists with people who can do math. I often hear the phrase, I suck at math, most prominently in the arts community. But why is that? You might say it's a left brain or right brain thing, but our brain activities are much more complex than that. Many studies will tell you that the left brain, right brain theory is just a myth. So, I have a somewhat funny personal story related to this topic. I grew up in an Asian country up until middle school, and then I moved to the US. So in elementary school, I was told directly, and the teachers would say it in front of the kids, that girls will not do well in math once they move on to high school. That starting high school, boys will do better in math than girls. So as a child, being told this by an authority figure meant that this was a fact. So I took this as a fact. Never gave it much thought. I mean, I was a kid. I wasn't too worried about it because one, I was not in high school yet. I didn't need to worry about it. Two, that I was much more interested in cartoons than playing soccer. But I did believe that there will come a day when I will start sucking at math because I'm a girl. Then I moved here to the US, and boy, was the schools different. The materials taught in the subjects were generally less. There were less topics talked about as well, and the schools are much more relaxed. So, in math classes where I came from, they used to make kids do these tests where they give you 100 simple arithmetic problems. Problems like, 34 plus 12 times 5. Problems like that. The difficulty would increase slightly depending on your grade. And you had exactly 1 minute to do these. So kids were trained to think fast. Each problem would take you about a half second, if you want a decent grade. So it's not that hard once you get used to it. So this one time I remember very clearly when I moved here. So here I am in a 7th grade math class in America. I couldn't speak much English, but I can understand math. So on the projection screen, there was 6 of those really simple arithmetic problems that I was so used to doing 100 per minute. And the teacher said, you have 10 minutes. After you're done, turn it in. Just write the numbers and the answers. You don't have to copy the questions. Something like that. I don't remember it all, but something like that. So those were the instructions. And my initial thought was, I must be mistaken. She probably said 10 seconds. So when she said to begin, I was pretty much already done. I checked my answers and then looked up, and the room was silent. And I was thinking, wait, nobody is turning it in? I mean, I'm not the fastest kid when I was in my home country. I wasn't the fastest kid in these things, and nobody's turning it in. Did she really say 10 minutes? So I waited a little while longer just to make sure. and after a while, I just decided, you know what, screw it. So I got up, and it was probably about a minute after the initial start, and walked up to the front of the room and turned it in. And both the teachers and the students all looked up at me like I had something on my face or I was insane. And I felt so weird. The teacher said, "Good job." And I sat back down. There were chatters in the room, like I had done something weird. And I was baffled. It took about maybe 5 minutes for the next person to turn in their paper. And I heard in the room somewhere really close to me too, I remember, someone said, "She's Asian." I was pretty oblivious to what this meant. I was just thinking, what is that supposed to mean? I'm Asian. Of course I'm Asian. Way to state the obvious. So, of course, later on I learned what the stereotype was about. So, mind you, I'm not in a state where there's a large Asian population. In fact, when I was in school, I could count maybe a handful of students that were of any Asian descent at all. So, I had a little dilemma. I was taught because I'm a girl, I'll probably suck at math. And now that I'm told because I'm Asian, I'm supposed to be good at math. So, am I supposed to be good at math or not? So you can see how ridiculous this thought was. But it's not very unlike the general perception people have about artists or mathematicians or whatever other stereotypes and pseudo fact are out there. There is a social trend to put people in these artificially labeled boxes that don't really exist. Just because I like to draw, that doesn't exclude me from liking or finding an interest in math or physics. In my opinion, all those disciplines are creative and or could use some creativity, just like art. And all of those professionals in those disciplines are artists of their own right. I do understand that, people will argue that they're good at some things compared to others. That's valid. But does that mean that you shouldn't be able to find an interest in areas that you're not necessarily best at? Or does not being the best at something automatically mean that you should suck at it? Of course, why am I even talking about this? Why am I talking about math? Well, I kind of do math for a living. Not pure mathematics in the academic setting, but an area in applied mathematics, and we can go into that later, some other day. Anyways, I don't think it's a left brain, right brain issue that a lot of people think they suck at math. Think about it, maybe you've been taught math the wrong way. Everyone learns differently, and public school teachers can only teach in a way that they're required to. Teaching is one of those things, it's not a one size fits all. Or maybe it's just not explained to you in an interesting way, or it's not presented to you creatively, or perhaps even it's a simple perception that is blocking your ability to ever find out if you'd be good at math or not. Math is not an interesting subject to many, I understand, but it's an example we can all relate to. What else might you have been good at had your perception of it been different? Personally, I've been on a journey to unbox myself for years now. Many boxes I didn't even know existed until I realized what I haven't been seeing. So my question to you is, are you living inside any labeled boxes that are preventing you from seeing further into the world right now? Well, I'll leave you with that thought. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.